Many African Americans have asked the question of why does the white society hate us so much? More specifically, many have asked the question of given that there are so many other racial groups living within the white dominant society, why is it that black people are the group that's the most vilified, denigrated, criminalized, marginalized, and that are the group most systematically subjugated by the white establishment? There are 4 significant reasons why it's being done. Within this video, I will present 2 of those 4 reasons. If I attempted to give all 4 in this one video, it'll be much too long. Here's the first reason. Firstly, the hatred towards blacks that exists among many working class and poor whites is easily explained. Poor and working class whites only know the lies that the white ruling class tells them about black people. They're being falsely manipulated about black people for the benefit of the white ruling class. The white ruling class have always recognized that potential turbulent unrest rising among those poor and working class whites against the white ruling classes is also potential of it, and have therefore always created anti-black propaganda that keeps the collective frustrations and collective aggressions of the poor and working class whites shifted away from the ruling class and directed against the black population. Therefore, the reasons presently given by the white masses for justifying their hatred towards black people are actually untrue. There are 3 reasons commonly given is that it's because black people commit most violent crimes. Black people collect most welfare and uses affirmative action to take jobs away from more qualified whites. These are the talking points that the poor working class white masses uses to justify their hatred towards black people. However, most have never bothered to research if these things are true. They're absolutely not. In reality, in the US, the largest recipient of welfare are in fact Caucasian. The group that commits most violent crimes are in fact also Caucasians. And the largest benefactors of affirmative action has been Caucasian women. Therefore, by extension, the white society has benefited most from affirmative action. These are facts. Research it. Falsely negatively distorting the image of black people to the working and poor white masses prevents the white masses from unifying against the white ruling class. It's exactly as President Lyndon B. Johnson said, that if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you picking his pockets. Hell, give him someone to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you. Lyndon B. Johnson said that. The general white population doesn't know what's happening, and it doesn't even know. Noam Chomsky. We can now move past the reason why the white masses hates black people. They're merely among the blind sheep being manipulated for the benefit of the white ruling class. Now, the second reason why black people are the group most harshly targeted by the ruling white elites is because within all wars, you attack your greatest threat the hardest. There are hidden amazing narratives about the black population that has caused the white ruling class to deem us as being the greatest threat against the system of white supremacy. Narratives that justifies attacking us from their position. Case, point, and proof. After slavery was abolished in the U.S. in 1865, the advancement made by African Americans following slavery was extraordinary. In spite of receiving no reparation and being constantly plagued by the evils of white racism, African Americans built many of our own self-sufficient cities across the nation. Those black-built cities often exceeded their neighboring white cities. This resulted in many jealous white mobs rioting and destroying those black communities. Although most African Americans knows of the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots, which white mobs swarmed into successful, striving black communities to burn and to kill African Americans, it actually happened all over the United States. It happened in Sanford, Florida, New York. There was also the Great Atlanta riots in 1906 and many other places. In addition to building our own striving cities across the U.S. that often exceeded the white neighboring towns, black segregated schools made a significant difference in black illiteracy, which was 30% in 1919 and had dropped to less than 7% by 1955. Black illiteracy had almost disappeared in the North. And in some areas, black illiteracy was less than white illiteracy, such as the case was in New York. In 1950, black colleges had 71,000 students. 553 black people had doctorate degrees. Furthermore, between the years of 1870 through 1940s, African Americans submitted 726 inventions patent to the U.S. Patent Office. Those numbers more than double those submitted by whites during the same time frame. And in spite of the fact that African Americans then comprised of less than 3% of the U.S. population, that's extraordinary. This scenario of black people outpacing whites and making inventions has never ended. It's merely concealed from the public through the white society's monopoly over information. The hidden fact is that in spite of cultural traumas wrought by the injustices of white racism and slavery, most inventions that have revolutionized the world were in fact either invented by black people or were directly inspired by early inventions by black people. There's not a single person on this planet whose life has not been made easier because of an invention made by a black person. It's the true narrative that the white society conceals from the world, conceals from the public. Do you know that 3 years before the Wright brothers patented their aircraft in 1909, that a black man named Charles F. Page had already patented his aircraft in 1906, 3 years earlier? The white society's depiction of black people is an elaborate white deception put in place for maintaining white dominance. Without black people, there would exist no working light bulbs, no internet, no cell phones. We wouldn't have cameras and microphones on our cell phones. There would be no emails, no GPS, no hearing aids, no touch-tone phones, no caller ID, no home security surveillance system, no home game cartridge, no cataract laser removal scope, no motorized vehicles, no steam engines, no traffic lights, no elevators. Therefore, there'll be no skyscrapers. There'll be no air conditions. We won't have the modern PC. There'll be no 3D movies, no central heatings, no refrigerators, no helicopters, no washing machine, no lawnmowers, no dryers, no doorknobs, no refrigerated trucks, no blood banks, no fiber optics, no nanotechnology. We wouldn't have the accurate weather forecasting system. There'd be no female sanitary pads, no bathroom tissue holders, no pencil sharpeners, etc., etc. The advancements made by black people are extraordinary, but is hidden from the public. Side note, I'm aware that most people are functioning based upon their perception that most revolutionizing invention comes from the minds of white people, and that black people are the leeches of society that have invented much throughout history. However, the truth is that white people invented the patent office and have always used it to steal the intellectual property rights from black people. In order for black inventors to get their inventions mass produced, they have to go before white companies. These white companies then acquires the rights to the inventions and then places white faces in front of the technology. This scenario allows the white society to continue exploiting the genius minds of black people while maintaining the perception that most revolutionizing inventions are coming from the minds of whites. Your perception of reality is an elaborate white deception. Through this whitewashing practice, the white society has literally whitewashed the perception of reality itself. As a result of this nefarious practice, the collective self-esteem of the white masses has been falsely bolstered at the expense of the collective self-esteem of the black masses. This is our reality. Most people don't know. Now, returning back to the original subject, witnessing African Americans' ability to achieve so much so closely following slavery greatly concerned the white ruling class. More specifically, black people's ability to make something out of nothing. and also things that exceeded the abilities of the white masses concerned the white ruling class. Black people had unknowingly proven themselves as being the greatest threat against maintaining white social dominance. White social scientists had concluded that if something wasn't done to handle this Negro situation, something that impeded the advancement of the black population, that the black population could erode the white society's white dominance in less than a generation. Therefore, something had to be done to prevent this from happening. They decided that this could be achieved by implementing a perception management system. Perception management system is a propaganda technique that involves altering the public perception of reality to suit the objective of the ruling class. They implemented a perception management system that is deployed like a massive media marketing campaign that constantly exalts the white population and falsely marginalizes the black population. Doing so creates and sustains false assumptions within the society that aids in maintaining white social dominance over black people. Furthermore, by negatively distorting and marginalizing everything that black people believes about ourselves, it conditions millions of black people to perceive ourselves through a false, inherent subordinate identity that also aids the white society in maintaining their social dominance over black people. Our society at large functions based upon this false perception of reality. This is all possible because public perception of reality is shaped by the narratives that are repeatedly fed into a society. Therefore, the basic tools required for the distortion of reality is to merely feed distorted narratives into a society repeatedly. The public at large will then start functioning based upon those false narratives instead of the true reality. This is what white social scientists call the illusionary truth effect. The illusionary truth effect is when people have been made to believe that false information is true because of being repeatedly subjected to receiving the false information, and they then begin functioning based upon the false information rather than the true reality. This is precisely what the white society has done. Because the white society controls all the societal narratives, they therefore literally own the perception of reality. They've exploited this immense position of power by repeatedly feeding false white exalting and false black marginalizing narratives into our society. And it aids in maintaining their white social capital and social dominance over black people. It's the real matrix. The real matrix is not a computer simulator. It's not a movie, nor does it have anything to do with a red pill. The real matrix is an elaborate perception management system that falsely exalts Caucasians and falsely marginalizes black people. It is designed to create and sustain false assumptions within our society. It's used misinformation, distortion of facts, denial of the truth, and even the manipulation of the past to falsely exalt Caucasians and falsely marginalize black people. Black people, we must wake up. We must always question our perception of reality when it's being controlled exclusively by the white society. Because whenever the perception of reality is being controlled by history's proven most notoriously racist, deceitful, and most narcissistic group of people, they'll always distort it to falsely exalt themselves and to falsely marginalize us. It's the racist and narcissistic people they inherently are. It's the way they've always been, and it's the only way that they know how to be. Welcome to the real world. One love and peace.